Hi, everyone, and welcome to my video conference. Today is June 9th, 2020, and we're going to be talking about your next act. I do feel that this is something I have a lot to share because I have transformed myself many times, and the formula is always the same. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off by visioning what it is that we really want to be, what it is we really want to do, how our lives could be most activated in what career, like aligning our soul path with what we do every day. It's an old Chinese saying, I believe it's Confucius, that it might be Buddha. When you do what you love, you never work a day of your life. So this is a time, on many of us, it will be a forced time to reevaluate. What do we want to do if we're going to college? Hey, I hope there are some high school students or even college students wondering about graduate school on this one. This can help. What about if you had a great job and all of a sudden your hours are cut, or you've been furloughed, or maybe you were an entrepreneur, but you weren't able to switch all your business online. So whatever it is that you are facing, whatever challenges, let's start using this as an opportunity to recreate a better tomorrow. So I'm going to give you a few resources before we start. The first thing I want to say is you will need a piece of blank paper. You might have at least 5 pieces of blank paper handy. And so we'll be using it, blank paper. I'm also recommending that you do check out some additional resources. So I'm going to share my screen so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so the first one is The Gratitude Game. This is a book that outlines a lot of the strategies that are going to help you to be proactive about creating the life that you really desire. It's a 21-day program, a chapter a day. Now, it does have a lot to do with passive income, but it also has a daily mantra that is prosperity oriented and a mindset. And you can apply this to your career as well. Also, if you're worried about protecting your wealth, I do have a 3rd edition of the ABCs of Money that's available. Go to nataliepace.com, just scroll down. When you see that book cover, click on it and it'll take you to where you can purchase it. That's just the easiest way to find it. It is an Amazon exclusive. Also, if you're thinking about college or graduate school, or if you're a parent, even if your child is only 5, you should start planning now. The ABCs of Money for College will put you on a path to get a better degree for half the cost, and definitely really avoiding all of the drama of the student loan debt. If you start planning when your child is young, then they could come out of college with no debt at all. That's not difficult to do. It does require discipline. And then finally, for those of you that really want to activate more on the Thrive budget, as well as the easy as a pie chart nest egg strategy, the investing strategy, passive income. And students, by the way, you should know about passive income, because that could be the thing that gets you through college without any debt. So parents, think about high school students and college students in the retreat as well, and that's our retreat. The next one is June 13th through the 15th, this weekend, 2020. And the one after that won't be until October, probably the first weekend in October. So really good idea to do it sooner rather than later. Actually, today is June 9th, yesterday, June 8th, NBER, the National Bureau of Economic Research, just announced officially that we're in a recession. Of course, the economists already knew that. Those of you that read my blogs already knew that as well, but it's now official. And with over 25 million people unemployed and an unemployment rate of about 16.3% as of the end of May. By the way, the number that was widely reported and was wrong. So if you need to know more about that, then you need to visit nataliepace.com/blog and read the blog that's entitled $10 Avocados. Okay, I'm going to stop the screen share. And again, get your piece of paper. And when we come back, we'll be starting with a visioning process. And then we will be mapping how to get there. And then I'm going to give you some resources to think about that might help you. All right, I'll see you soon. Okay, so let us get started. And I want to start by kind of a guided meditation. So I'm going to mute my video so that what you see is this beautiful background. And I'm going to talk you through this guided meditation. All right, here we go. So as you look at this, I want to, before we begin the guided meditation, I just want to say that this that you're seeing in the background is High Grove. So I wanted to, as my passion project, we call it the 5 to 9, like you have the 9 to 5 job and then you have the 5 to 9 passion project, right? So that you love to do. So as you know, my 9 to 5 job was financial literacy, but the passion was sustainability. And so I began touring all these different sustainable projects, and seemed like the more that I would go places to tour something, the more I would get invited. So I'll try to pull up a few more pictures to show you as well. But this one, High Grove, is one of the most special places that I've ever been. It is the organic farm of Prince Charles, where Prince William and Prince Harry were raised. And I got a tour of that. I got to stay on another royal estate that tries to be very sustainable. I got to tour another township that they created to be a post-petroleum world, and was friendly for pedestrians and micromobility, that sort of thing. You could still have your car and you could still commute if you needed to, but I wanted to make it easy for people to walk just to get their milk, or walk to go and grab a cup of tea down the corner. So long story short is that this vision right here is an example of how I use the strategies that we're going to talk about today to create my dream come true world. So in this, I want to, give you that background, but let's see what your dream come true world looks like. So I'm going to put on some music. I'm going to keep this in the background. I am going to give you some prompts to think about here and there. So I'll come in, I'll, lower the volume on the music and give you some prompts. And I really just want you to ask and answer this question. If money were not an object, what would I be doing with my days? What is important to me? What do I want to be? What do I want to become? What am I most interested in? And those things can lead us to our dream come true career. In the beginning, they may start off as a passion project. They may start off as that 5 to 9. But those things that you're called to do are likely those things that you would be happy spending the 10,000 or more hours to become an expert in. So let's start by claiming that. Look, you are going to have to, if you need to pay rent, or you need to pay your mortgage, or you're in a desperate situation, obviously you are going to have to look for a job that maybe is not your, be all end all at this point. But knowing what you want and having a pathway to get there is the way out of 9 to 5 work that you're really not thrilled with, and into a career of your dreams. So take this small time that we've got together to vision and to start that pathway. You can still do what you need to do to pay your bills. You can still, it usually is not that you press the reset button and you just get to start your passion project. It usually is a transition, but it can work. I'm living proof of that. So take the next 5 to 7 minutes. And it is good to have it be a short period of time because you already know what you love. Just write down things you love. And from there, write down what you would love to be doing with the things that you love that would create value for the world. All right, I'm gonna put on some music. All right, so hopefully you have a good vision of what you would be doing if money weren't an object, of what you really would love to do in this world. And I want to remind you that when people value what you do, that's when you are compensated. I'll give you a quick example. I was speaking to an acupuncturist recently about her portfolio, because obviously that's my day job, is helping people protect their wealth. And we started talking more about her career. And obviously people are not that interested in having needles stuck in them right now. We're in the middle of a pandemic. But what they are very interested in is immune support, in building up their immune system, so that they can, if they are exposed, beat it, right? And so she was so in fear mode about what she was losing that she wasn't able to see the opportunity. And she was a specialist in herbology as well. She was a specialist in many things that people were actually in great demand. So a lot of times when we're stuck, the solution is to start this process of visioning, of creating solutions, because the problem is that we're not seeing the possibilities. We're stuck in fear, seeing what we lost and not able to look across the horizon and see what we might actually be an opportunity, what might be lying before us. So that's the next step of this exercise. So you need to get a little piece of paper, okay? And what I want you to do is I want you to write down. So first of all, fold the paper in half. So the paper is going to be this way, and then fold it in half. And I only want you to write on that side. Like you're going to have a whole nother side that's completely ignored. Only write on this side. If you get to the end and you still want to keep writing, you have to grab another piece of paper. So what I want you to do is I want you to look at that vision. And these are the things that you might do. One thing is you might look at it and say, well, what's stopping me from doing that? Why can't I just do that now? Write it line by line. Like, don't write it like a story. Like, what's stopping me? I need to pay my mortgage. Or what's stopping me? I'm not sure that, let's say you're a high school student or even in middle school. You might say, well, I don't know if I'm smart enough to go to veterinary school, or, I don't know if I have enough money to, it's so expensive. Whatever it is, write it down. Whatever you think that's stopping you from getting to that career of your dreams, line by line. So the way to start on the pathway is to turn our problems into solutions, and we can do that. So, but we have to start by acknowledging those barriers that we think lie in our path, line by line. So I'm only going to give you about 5 minutes. Now, you might need longer than that to write down everything that you think stands in the way of you and earning an income that you love. And if so, then this is recorded and you'll be able to watch it back and do it again and do more. But let's start with a 5-minute process. There might be some things that just come top of mind to you that either you're afraid of, or you think, you're worried about, or you think are actually obstacles to you getting there. Okay, so just write them down line by line. And again, I'll put the music back on. I'll put the tree back on, the landscape back on for you to watch, or mute it and listen to your own music. And yeah, write down the obstacles, worries, doubts, fears, anything at all that you think is standing in the way of you and your dreams. All right. Okay. So I want to acknowledge the obvious. There are over 25 million Americans that are unemployed, and it is heavily weighted towards teens. 30% of teens are unemployed. So I know we're in tough times. The actual unemployment rate is 16.3%, not the widely reported 13%. Read my blog on that if you want to understand why it would be widely reported one thing and really be another. But what I want to say is this, that a great deal of us had to adjust and shift. So for me, immediately I had to say, can I take my business online? Now, a good portion of my business was already online, but my retreats were all in person. So, we shifted immediately online. I learned Zoom. I didn't really know how to do it before that. I had never done one before, and it worked great. So what I'm going to say is that if you are an entrepreneur, or if you're working and you've been furloughed, if there's a way that you can be a part of the work from home solution or take it online, that's something to think about. For restaurants, if you can add a drive-in window, I was amazed to see how many drive-through window, how many drive-through restaurants still operated as essential businesses. And it was so much more efficient than the walk-up window or the delivery window, which cost everybody. Are you overpaying by having a middleman? So you want to think about that. Now, the other possibility is that if you really have been furloughed and you have unemployment insurance or whatever it is that it might be, is now the time to think about getting that master's degree, that MBA or that Ph.D. And you need to do the math on it. If it's going to be so that you can be a famous chef, then most chefs actually get their training on the job, not by going to culinary school, although certainly some famous chefs do go to culinary school. So, you want to really do the math on that. And again, I do offer a lot of solutions in my books. I put them at the beginning of this, so you'll see them before you come on. But if you're considering going to college, or you're considering an MBA or an advanced degree, then read the ABCs of Money for College and really understand how that can be beneficial. Because in recessions like this, in the Great Recession, if you had an advanced degree, you were employed. The unemployment rate for the advanced degree was 2.3%. If you did not have a high school diploma, then your unemployment rate was more like 25%. So this can be very helpful in rough times to have that advanced degree. And if you're unemployed and you don't have it, then that period of underemployment, or where there's high unemployment in your nation, could be the time to get the education. All right, so let's go back to our fire ritual. It's just, I wanted to acknowledge the real world here too. This is our dreaming and a visioning platform, but let's acknowledge what's real. Okay, so let's go back to that piece of paper. What you have are a lot of obstacles, barriers, worries, doubts, fears. And what we want to do is get out of that and into positive action, things that work, time-proven solutions, not just whimsical nonsense, time-proven solutions. So, I wasn't thinking when I started doing my sustainability projects that maybe I could do the Earth Gratitude Project and maybe the Dalai Lama and the Prince of Wales and, Ariana Huffington and the Earth Day Network and all these people would come in and contribute to it. I was just thinking, there are a lot of people that put up concept drawings of sustainable projects that never come to fruition. And so I wanted to get through it so people would have a reliable source of what was real and what was fantasy land. And that was really what prompted me to start doing boots on the ground research for sustainability. Again, what benefited me in that is that I was actually doing something that people needed and wanted. So there was a value to the service I was providing. But in the beginning, and honestly, even now, I don't really get paid for it. I just do it because I think it's important for humanity. So it's my passion project, my 5 to 9 project. I don't expect it to pay me. But it has led me to places that you couldn't pay to get to. So it has had its rewards. But back to you. Let's go back to the problem solving. So the solutions to your problems are the exact opposite of the problem. So the way that you start solving your problems is to restate the problem as a solution. So if you're saying to yourself, let's say you're in middle school and you're saying, I don't think my mom and I have money to send me to college. Then the solution is, I'm so glad that my mom and I have the money for me to go to college because I worked hard in the summers and I put money into a college fund. Now, you see what I did is I not only flipped it, I not only took the negative and turned it into a positive, but I also added an action. And it is something that came off the top of my head. So this is a whimsical exercise. And the reason for that is that oftentimes we do have the solutions like that. So give whimsy her due. You can go back and you can create other more elaborate blueprints. But for this visioning process, let's let our intuition, let's let our inner wisdom, let's let divine wisdom have a play. So every single problem that you wrote down, start off by restating it in the positive, because then it becomes a solution, and then add the action plan that's going to make it real. So let's take another example. My restaurant, I can only seat 25% right now because we're in phase 1. Okay, and it's going to bankrupt my business. Let's say that's the fear, that's the worry, the doubt. Then the reframing of that, I'm so glad that my business is thriving. We're actually going to probably have a great year because in addition to sit down, which is limited, and takeout, which is, good, we actually have a drive-through kiosk. And now we're at our revenue targets. So you can start doing that. Again, sometimes that whimsical thing that I'm talking about is a little nutty, but listen to whimsy. And I'm going to give you another example. I really didn't like my real business in 2009 because I wasn't getting paid and I was sick of writing checks to keep the business going. So financial literacy, educating people, which I try to keep the costs low so that Main Street can be empowered, is not as lucrative as if I had just decided to make rich people richer and either started a hedge fund or even managed rich people money. So I had chosen Main Street because I thought it would make me happier, but it was not making me happy in 2009 because I had had a series of years where I had a lot of people that the business was paying on my dime and I wasn't getting paid. And so I wasn't happy anymore. And so I wrote down, I did this exact same exercise and I wrote down, I hate my business and I want to blow it up. That was my problem. And I had to, of course, do, drink my own Kool-Aid here. I had to do what I say to do. So I restated it. I said, I'm so glad that I love my business again. And then I had to put because, and the thing that came in flying in from outer space, because I couldn't see any answers. That's why I thought I should just blow everything up. The thing that came flying in from outer space was because I took a month off to go to Europe. And that time off, which I really need because I'm too close to the problems, is going to help me see the solution. That's what I wrote down. Now, at the time, I was still writing checks to keep a business flowing that was cash negative, and I'd been doing so for so long and not paying myself. I really didn't feel like I had the money to do it. So it was complete. Not only was it whimsical, it was, outlandish, honestly. And if I had stopped myself from writing it down, I'm not sure I would have even thought of it. So I went ahead and wrote it down, but I thought afterwards, oh, that's outlandish. That's not likely to happen. And then within 2 weeks, and I'm not lying, within 2 weeks, one of my volunteers was opening up mail, because at that time we had snail mail, and I don't like to open it because we were an online business. So she opened it and she came running in and she said, "You're not going to believe this. Look at this." And I looked at it and it was a letter from the secretary, the state treasurer's office. And I had a retirement plan that I had completely forgotten about. Now, normally the right answer is roll over the retirement plan into another retirement plan. But after that long of cash negative and complete soul depletion, the right answer was, they said, would you like to roll it? It was a smaller one. It wasn't a gigantic one. It was a smaller one. Would you like to roll this over, or do you want to cash it out? I obviously said I want to cash it out. I took that money and I was in Europe within 3 weeks of writing down what I had said. 2009, it wasn't that expensive to fly on a plane. It wasn't that expensive to stay in great hotels either, especially if you were using Priceline or Hotwire or Expedia, etc. So I spent a month in Europe. I spent most of the time in Italy, a little bit of time in Verona, and I came back and here I am. And I do love my business. So I did want to give you a few examples, one real world one of how it worked, and a couple of other ones of people that recently have come to me. So for instance, the acupuncturist, oh my God, I'm worried because I'm going to have to shut down my acupuncture business. Okay, let's reframe it. I'm so glad I don't have to shut down my acupuncture business, because right now I'm going to focus on the herbs that are going to deliver the immune support that's more needed now than ever. So I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to reframe the problems into solutions. And to be whimsical, you have to have the action plan. You can't just reframe it. It can't be magical thinking. It has to have an action plan. And even if that action plan seems outlandish, like my trip to Europe, it's a step in the right direction. And you can start walking and course correct it. All right, I'm going to give you another 5 minutes. Okay, and I'm leaving the tree up for a moment. I just want to read you a couple of different quotes real quickly, and then I'll tell you why these are important. So the first one is, these first two are from Steve Jobs, and he says, those who are crazy enough to think they can change the world, who are the ones who do. The other one from Steve Jobs, which I think is really powerful, is you have to trust in something, your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever, because believing that the dots will connect down the road will give you the confidence to follow your heart, even when it leads you off the well-worn path. Now, the reason that I wanted to start with Steve Jobs, and I'll give you another example as well, a couple more, is that, Steve Jobs quit college. He thought it was too expensive. He thought that his parents were really struggling to put him through college, and he didn't see the point at the time. But what he did is he started dropping in on classes that were really interesting to him, like graphics. And it's interesting how he became famous for his attention to detail, and people began to love Apple products because they were more beautiful than the other products that were available. The font was more beautiful. The iMac, that giant capsule that we had for a while there. So, and now, little tiny phones, and the reinvention of the smartphone. But the path wasn't linear for him. It was truly following passions. um, when Sandra Day O'Connor, and also, by the way, when he did that, when he dropped out of college and he was dropping in on the calligraphy courses and all that, he was sleeping on the floor of his friend's dorm, and he was walking over to the Hare Krishna temple to get food. So one of the reasons I wanted to bring this up is that right now, if we have this high unemployment, so many people struggling, and that stimulus check is not enough to keep us in our homes. We all know this. So we have to rethink our budgets. And those of us that face reality fastest are those that are going to be in the best position going forward. So I strongly encourage you, in your home, in your family, when you see that somebody is struggling, consider intergenerational housing. When you lighten your load, or when you lighten their load, that is where the flying happens. For me, I wasn't able to launch Financial Literacy Project until I solved my own life problems, my own life math problems. So, I moved in with another single mother, and we got a bigger place in a better neighborhood for about 2/3 the cost, and splitting that takes it down even more. I had someone that could help watch my child when I wanted to even go grocery shopping or go dancing for the night. It was just so much easier. Life was so much easier. And it was with that relief and adopting a Thrive budget that allowed me to launch the Financial Literacy Project, to start earning money while you sleep, to start investing. All the things that have created the foundation of my life have made me live this dream come true life, where my passion project can be, running around the world looking at sustainability projects. So what I'm living proof that this works, but it is twofold. It's not magical thinking. It's not just thinking that things are going to be better. It's creating better. It's not magical thinking that the money is going to grow on trees and solve my financial problems. It's finding a way to increase my income through money while you sleep and investing appropriately, and decrease my expenses by, in my case, it wasn't intergenerational. It was actually finding another single mother. So the sooner you address the issues and the sooner you seek the solutions to the issues, the better off you're going to be. I'm going to take us back to the final step of what is called the fire ritual. So what you just did was what I call the fire ritual. And I'll tell you why we call it that in just a moment. But I did want to acknowledge that, you don't just do things. You don't just go online and discover how to invest. You really need to make sure that the person that's shining a light on a path for you is a true way shower. They should have a Ph.D. in results. Bernie Madoff was the president of NASDAQ, so it can't just be a Ph.D. or a Nobel Prize winning economist. It has to be a Ph.D. in results. But when you find solutions that are time proven, that can be a shortcut for you. So again, at the beginning of this, I showed a bunch of things, but I am going to show you a few resources now, and then we'll take the last step of the fire ritual, and then I'll release you back to your families and dinner or bedtime if you're on the East Coast. So here we go for sharing the screen. Okay, so the first thing is, remember that you can do the gratitude game. It is a program designed to help you shift out of the problems and into the solutions. It's meant to be done a chapter a day, and I do recommend it in the audio program. So if you go to nataliepace.com and you scroll down and find that book cover, it will actually take you to the audio version of it. The ABCs of Money, 3rd edition, was just released in March. It does include information that is pertaining to the coronavirus recession that we're currently in. So I do recommend that you read that. Also, If you are thinking about college, even if you're in middle school, even if you're in kindergarten, have your parents read it for you and start these things. This is your way, and the path should start now. You don't know, you may not know what you want to do, but you have an idea of what you want to do now, and that can change 100 times. But you start planting the seeds of success now. And then finally, if you're in the position where you need to protect your wealth, you should consider either getting a second opinion from me, where I can outline areas of strength and weakness in your current plan, give you an action plan. You're the boss of your money. I'm not going to manage your money. I'm not going to sell you financial products, but I can tell you what you own. It's pretty hard to be the boss of your money if you don't know what you own. So if you're worried, really worried about it, and you want to get a second opinion now, then call our offices. If you would prefer to learn the ABCs of money that we all should have received in high school first, then register and attend my retreat this weekend. Starts on Saturday. All right, so let's go back to the final step of the fire ritual. Take that piece of paper, and what you'll see is that on one side you have all of the problems you wrote down, and on the other side you have all of the solutions. So what we're going to do now is we're going to separate the two. So you just take your paper and you fold it, you take some water and you put it on the crease, and then you fold it some more and some more water. And what you'll discover is that it's very easy then to start tearing your problems from your solutions. So tear them apart. So you have two pieces of paper now. Problems, solutions. With the problems, tear it up. And that is something that you want to, if you so desire and can do so safely, burn. Thus the fire ritual. Or you can toss it. You can do some, some ritual thing like goodbye problems and toss it. And then you have your solutions. And what you want to do with the solutions is you don't want to, like constantly meditate on them. Just fold them up. You already thought of them. They're active in there. Fold them up, stick them in your pillowcase, sleep on them. And then when you're washing your sheets, you pull it out. And if you still need to look at it again, and maybe you need to be acting more actively, you haven't done what you said you're going to do, then do that. But what I've found is even more valuable is that I do what I say I'm going to do. And then maybe 4 or 5 months from now, I do the same fire ritual again. The things I think are problems are now very different. And it just helps me. Now, John Perkins, who I just interviewed last week, and his new book is called Touching the Jaguar. I do recommend it. He has in his 5-step action plan to changing the dream. So that's his version of what I'm telling you to do. He says that you should do something every single day to activate this dream. And it doesn't have to be a big, gigantic thing. It could be tweeting about something. It could be reading about something. It could be looking for job opportunities. It could be looking for scholarships. Okay, so he believes you should do something every day, even if it's a small little tiny thing. I think that that's not a bad idea, but I also like to be realistic. And I think that if you take, every time you have a fear, if you have that process of transforming it into the solution and an action, that's very powerful too, because the fears come up constantly, the worries, the doubts, the obstacles, especially when life is forcing you into a large transition, which is happening right now in real time. All right, let me see if there's anything else that I want to go through before we sign off. Commitments. So look at your solutions as commitments. And if you need to, write down some commitments that you're willing to take action on today to make it come true. All right. I want to thank you for joining me. I want to thank those of you that are going to be watching this back. Again, there are many ways to get solutions to your answers that are time proven. I had to live my way into the answers, both for investing as well as career. And that is why I wrote the books that I've written. So we're here to help. You can always email us at info@nataliepace.com. You can call us at 310-430-2397. You can join us for the retreat this weekend. You can get a second opinion. You can read the books. You can come up with a solution, I mean, a problem that I haven't written about, and ask me to help you. That's how these books get written, is people say, okay, well, this is my problem. Can you help me with that? And I have to look for the answers. All right. Thanks again for joining me. Have a delightful, well, I guess it feels weird to say delightful when we're in the middle of a pandemic and we have so much social unrest. How about have a powerful? Let's let's all join in to creating a more just society. Actually, that's something I've been committing to every day, is doing a little tweet, a little message to my mayor, a little message to my city council member, a blog. Let's up our game, our social game. Let's up our, living with our neighbors game. Let's up our love thy neighbor as thyself game. Let's figure out who needs help game. Let's take a meal to an elder. Let's, yeah, let's help. Thanks.